Hello, hello, everyone. How's it going? Welcome to another fantastic episode of High on Energy TV for those of you who are hanging out with me on Facebook Live, and High on Energy podcast for those of you who are listening to me in your car or on your walk. Welcome. I've been absent for a few weeks, but I am back. It's been pretty busy, and last week I was traveling. I headed down to San Diego for Social Media Marketing World. I'm such a business and marketing nerd, and I had so much fun just learning about business and marketing. So really great conference. Highly recommend it for those of you who run your own business and want to learn how to get out in front of more people. There were so many gold sessions there. I learned so much. I made a lot of great connections. And if you are an entrepreneur or you're a health coach, someone who wants to learn more about expanding your business, I'm going to be going over my top take-home lessons learned in a upcoming episode of the 360 Health Biz podcast, which is my other podcast. And make sure to subscribe to that. But if you are on the High on Energy podcast, do make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. So I go live with the show every single Tuesday on Facebook Live. So if you guys want to ask me questions, if you want to hang out with me, if you want to connect with me and engage with me, this is definitely the place to do it. But if you're kind of like me and you don't have no time to consume video content, then make sure to subscribe to the podcast, the High on Energy podcast on iTunes, on Spotify, and then you can listen to me in your car, on your run, or wherever, and get me into your eardrums, which is a scary thing. All right, guys. So today we have a fantastic topic. As always, we're going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart. We're going to be talking about sleep. I'm going to be giving you 3 sleep hacks to get into a deeper and more regenerative sleep. Now, this is a very important topic. Because sleep is damn important. You know, let's be fully honest here. If you are not sleeping, everything else you do for your body that seems good kind of gets negated, right? It's very hard to feel good, to feel the effects of your fantastic diet that you're eating, to feel the effects of your exercise, to really get benefit from your meditation or whatever stress reduction activity you are doing if you sleep like crap, right? I know, as someone who has gone through many bouts of insomnia, I know that when I'm going through my bouts of insomnia, I just feel like crap. Like I'm eating really healthy, I'm doing all these good things for my body, but the fact that I'm getting a crappy night's sleep every single night just makes it really impossible to feel good. And on top of that, when you have insomnia, when you're up all night and you can't sleep, despite being incredibly tired, despite being exhausted and really, truly wanting in the deep corners of your heart to be able to sleep and to not be able to, I mean, it's infuriating, it's frustrating, and your mind ends up going to a lot of really dark places, unfortunately. So welcome, Marion, welcome, Heather, Pete's here. And so, guys, if you have questions about sleep, let me know, and I will get to your questions later on in the episode. So I want to talk about first, and I have all my little notes in front of me because I don't want to miss anything. I want to talk about, the basics, okay? And, I'm going to give you 3 of my top sleep hacks plus 1 bonus sleep hack that work really well for me, that work really well for a lot of my clients. But if you don't have the basics in place, these things aren't going to really work. Okay. So let's talk about the basics for sleep. And some of these might surprise you. So if you are someone who's struggling with insomnia, if you are someone who's struggling, with chronic, you're having trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, the first thing you actually want to consider is what you're eating for breakfast. Now, I know that this is weird. You're like, what does my breakfast have to do with sleep? The truth is everything. Your sleep at night always starts with how you started your day and what you started with eating for breakfast. Okay. So, a lot of us are typically eating high sugar, high carbohydrate breakfast. Unfortunately, a lot of the sort of North American breakfasts are kind of high sugar, high carb. So, it's like toast, it's a bagel, it's granola, it's a pastry, it's a donut. those sorts of things, those pancakes, waffles, right? Those are really, really high carb, high sugar foods. And what those do is they actually set you off on a blood sugar roller coaster through the rest of the day. So having that really poor breakfast, because we burn through that type of energy really quickly. And, you know, if you're eating breakfast, you do want to start your day with something that's hearty, something that's going to give you more lasting energy. If you start your day on that blood sugar roller coaster, then what happens is you're on that roller coaster for the rest of the day. You're more likely to, you know, have that 2 p.m., 3 p.m. afternoon crash. You are more likely to have that after work, eat everything, eat anything binge fest where you get home and just destroy your cupboards. And then you're way more likely to have issues sleeping at night because you will continue that roller coaster throughout sleep. And when your blood sugar crashes, your body will use stress hormones to raise your blood sugar. So cortisol and adrenaline are primary stress hormones, but they also are glucose immobilizing hormones. So they stabilize your blood sugar. So if you have crashing blood sugar while you're sleeping because you ate a really crappy breakfast to start your day, then yeah, I mean, your blood sugar is going to crash while you sleep. And those stress hormones, while they do raise your blood sugar, they are stimulating hormones. And that very much in itself can wake you up. And that's why a lot of people, you know, they wake up in the middle of the night with a start. Maybe they wake up with panic. Maybe their heart is racing because those stress hormones are actually getting activated and waking them out of their sleep. We don't want to have stimulating hormones that actually compete with melatonin, your sleep hormone, going off while we're sleeping. So really consider that breakfast. What are you eating for breakfast? And make sure to eat a breakfast that is high in protein and high in fat. High fat, high protein breakfasts are way more stabilizing to the blood sugar. It's a way better way to start your day if you're eating breakfast and you're not intermittent fasting. So, you know, eggs are great. You know, protein powder in a smoothie, like maybe a coconut yogurt or something like that, veggies, any form of animal product. I typically, if I eat breakfast, I'm going to eat leftovers from dinner. Or this morning, I had some really nice local organic bacon with avocado and steamed greens and salsa and tomatoes. And it was so good, let me tell you. But that's a really good way to start your day. Okay. Now, we have to also talk about what is going to be happening in the hours that lead up before bedtime, because a lot of people sabotage their sleep with what they do in the couple hours before bedtime. So, you know, when I take in a client or a member into my membership, I'm always asking them in the intake form, like, hey, what are you up to in those 2 hours before you go to bed? Because a lot of us are on screens. I would say this is the number one thing that we are doing that is destroying our sleep is we're on our phones, we're on our computer watching a movie, we're on our tablets, whatever we're doing, you know, we're scrolling through Instagram or on Netflix or whatever, HBO, and we're getting exposed to a lot of blue light. Now, the way that the light comes from the screen, it's actually the same type of light that comes from the rising sun. Okay. And so, you know, as humans, we actually work on a circadian rhythm. We love cycles, we love routine. And when that rising sun, that is what stimulates our cortisol, that stress hormone that also gives us energy. It gives us motivation, it gets us out of bed, and it helps us start our day, right? So that's happening. But if you are at night, a time where you're supposed to actually be in the dark, maybe around the campfire, maybe around a candle, we're getting more of that orange light, but you're giving yourself that blue light that really just stimulates your stress hormones. So that will bring down your melatonin, and it will actually raise your stress hormones and your cortisol. And this is a tough one, right? We're all very screen addicted. I'm not sitting here on my high horse telling you that I don't have a screen addiction. I was just at social media marketing world, and holy crap, did I enjoy indulging my screen addiction, because we're at a marketing conference, everyone's on their phone, everyone's like Instagram storying, Facebook living everywhere. And I just fully gave into it and just indulged my, my addiction. And it felt really good. I got that dopamine hit, right? That sort of thing gives you. But of course, now that I'm back to the real world, I'm now trying to disconnect from screens again. Okay. So, you know, we're all very addicted to it. We get a lot of sort of instant gratification when we're scrolling through our Facebook feed, when we're on Instagram, right? When somebody comments, when somebody likes, when someone sends us a message, I mean, we get that dopamine hit, but we really need to get off our screens before bed. This is really important. Now, some of us, you know, every now and then, maybe you're going to want to watch a movie you know, maybe you have to work in the evening. Maybe that's your only time to work and you're, you know, there's not really a way for you to avoid being on screens. Well, I do recommend getting a pair of I believe the brand name is Swanson. I'm not affiliated with this company. I have those orange blue light blocking glasses. I actually left them in San Diego, which is like so disheartening. I had to order myself another pair, but I actually wear those as soon as the sun goes down. I wear them. They're sort of trendy. They're orange, but they look way better than the old pair that I had that just looked like safety glasses. I wear those the whole evening, and they basically make all the light orange, kind of like a campfire. And honestly, I do believe they play a really significant role in me having really great sleeps. And so, you know, I do like to watch Netflix sometimes. I do like to indulge in a little Bachelor or Bachelorette every now and then. I will not lie. I do love shitty reality TV. And I'm obsessed with true crimes. I love watching documentaries. I'm watching the case against Adnan Syed right now, the guy who was in the first episode of Serial. Really fantastic, blowing my mind. But anyways, so if I do decide to indulge my screens after the sun goes down, I always wear my blue light blocking glasses. So those do really help. Okay. The other thing to consider is, you know, you need to sleep in a dark room. So if you live in the city, you probably need something like blackout blinds, or at least something that dims the room quite significantly. You also need to sleep in a cold room. Our body naturally wants to be, our body temperature actually needs to drop in order for us to get into a deep sleep. And that's probably an evolutionary thing. It's probably that, you know, at night, the temperature always dropped. We weren't in heated houses. So you do want to cool your room as much as possible. Well, whilst not being too cold. So get it as cold as you can possibly tolerate while you're still comfortable without waking up cold, but you do want to get it as low as possible. I mean, we put our temperature down to about 12 degrees at night. Sometimes I even open the window because I'm definitely a hot sleeper, okay? And so creating that nighttime routine and making sure you're not doing anything stimulating in 2 hours before bed, this is the basics, okay? So you probably shouldn't be going to CrossFit in the 2 hours before you go to bed. You probably shouldn't be doing intense exercise. You probably should not be checking your email. Email always fires me up. There's always something in my inbox that I'm like, oh, I have to deal with this, or that's really stressful, right? You know, you need to do something relaxing. Maybe it's a stretch, maybe it's a meditation, maybe it's reading a book, listening to a podcast, maybe it's going for a walk, snuggling with your partner, your kids, whatever it is. Like, you do want to try to, you know, at least an hour, but 2 is more ideal. Really try to keep that space open for chill time before bed, and try to do similar things every night, because our body loves routine. It loves repetition. And when we do those things, it sort of tells our body that, hey, it's time to actually go for sleep. Okay. So I'm going to hop into the comments box for those of you who are hanging out on Facebook Live with me. Katie says, any suggestions for crazy chronic nightmares other than meditation, yoga nidra, and not eating a large meal at night? So yeah, I would definitely be thinking about gut infections. I know parasite infections sometimes are linked, or other types of gut infections like yeast or bacteria. Those can really, sometimes they are linked to nightmares. But I would say, yeah, meditation, yoga, nidra is really helpful. I would definitely work on diet, definitely look into gut health, consider running something like a GI map. Absolutely might be helpful. Something I'm going to get into today called heart math, which I found really, really helpful for getting into a deeper sleep. That might be really helpful. And hey, Jenny. Hey, Ellen. Jenny says, hi, I'm back from Mexico. I hope you had a fantastic time, Jenny. And Ellen's here too. And then there's a question from Pete, although it's not related to sleep, but I do want to get to it. He just says, my mother has C. diff and she needs some idea on foods she can eat and some better ways to control this. She has been 3 times to the hospital, same results, very concerned and reaching out. Please help with some ideas. Yeah, so what you need is to work with a practitioner who knows how to treat C. diff with Saccharomyces boulardii. Antibiotics will not work for C. diff. I rarely see that happen. And then there's going to be actually a massive side effect of taking antibiotics. Now, a C. diff taper down protocol, I can't advise you over Facebook Live. Legally, I am not allowed to do that. But if you do find a functional health practitioner, if she joins my High on Energy membership, I can absolutely advise her on that. That's just go.kendraperry.com/energy. It's a program for women. We run testing, and in that way I could advise her on that. But it's actually a very easy infection to get rid of. It's just that it can't be through the conventional route of using antibiotics. It does need to be with probiotics and other targeted gut support. Okay, I hope that helps. Awesome, guys. So I'm going to jump into the 3 hacks. These are things. And so just to give you guys a bit of background, like having chronic insomnia, like debilitating, horrible insomnia, is one of the main things that got me so desperate that I ended upon stumbling upon functional medicine and deciding to make a change from forestry, from being a forest technician, and turn into owning an online business in functional health. Okay. And so I got insomnia seemingly out of the blue. And I can tell you that I've never been a great sleeper. I've always been a light sleeper. I've always been a sensitive sleeper. And I remember in high school, I always had trouble getting to sleep. And that was generally my issue. But literally one night out of nowhere, I just stopped sleeping. And I spent about 6 months having horrible insomnia where I was only getting, an hour or two of sleep each night. I was incredibly wired. My body was vibrating. My body was very hot. It was pretty debilitating. And then after 6 months, it stopped for about 6 months. And then exact same time of the year, almost like the day to the year before, I went through it again. And so that was pretty terrible. And since then, I've gone through several other episodes. And I actually just went through another episode in January due to a lot of stress that was going on in my business. Okay. But I really kind of tried to think outside the box because I knew I was doing all of the right things. My diet was optimized. I was balancing my minerals. I've worked significantly on gut health, on hormones. So I really had to think outside the box. And so these are some really great sleep hacks, some things to try when you feel that nothing else is working. Okay, so number 1 is actually glycine, okay? And I've saw a lot of really great results with glycine. And glycine is an amino acid and it's a neurotransmitter and it's a calming neurotransmitter. It's calming, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of us don't have a lot of glycine in our diet because glycine is an essential amino acid that's not present in a lot of the animal products that we're eating. So typically when we're eating animal products, and I am an advocate for eating good quality meat in the diet, but a lot of us are eating muscle meat, okay? And so we're not eating like the brain, the organs, the skin, the bones, a lot of those things. And unfortunately, muscle meat is really high in methionine and really low in glycine. Now, methionine is stimulating and glycine is calming, okay? So by taking glycine, you can actually help balance that ratio, but it can also help you feel calmer and more relaxed at night. The other thing I love about glycine is it actually drops your body temperature just enough to get you into a deep sleep. So I think that's part of the reason why it works so well is that it has that body temperature dropping effect. And we always want that to happen in order for us to get into that deep sleep, okay? So I started with glycine and I felt that happened a lot because typically when I go through these phases of insomnia, I have a lot of body heat. I'm very hot. And so there's 2 ways you can go about using glycine. Now you can get glycine through collagen. And some people will have a lot of success using collagen powder before bed. Now, collagen dissolves easily in water. It has no flavor, so it's easy to just, put it in a cup of water and drink it down, okay? And so you'd want to take about as much collagen as you could get about 3 milligrams of glycine. Now, it depends on the type of collagen you're using. I believe I use Organica collagen, and I believe about just under 2 tablespoons gives me about 3 milligrams of collagen. So that can be helpful, but keeping in mind that collagen has lots of other amino acids in it. It also has methionine. So I find this works for some people, but not others. For some people, the collagen totally works, but for other people, they may actually want to specifically supplement with the amino acid glycine, okay? So you'd want to do about 3 milligrams of glycine and glycine only. It's a bit harder of a supplement to find, but I know Thorne Research does make one. Typically, you can get that off something like iHerb. So I believe with, I might be wrong, but I believe with the Thorne Research, it's about 1 milligram per capsule. So you take about 3 at night. And that can be really helpful. So 3 milligrams, okay? But you can take up to 6. But I typically start with the lower dose. I go with 3. You may even, if you're a sensitive flower, you may actually want to start with 1 and slowly work your way up and see if that helps. And I've actually found that to be incredibly, incredibly helpful. So guys, let me know if you have questions about that. Katie says, what kind of protein do you recommend for breakfast? I recommend animal protein. Honestly, that is the best, easiest to extract, most high quality protein, obviously, coming from really high quality animals, organic, grass fed, we want to make sure that that animal protein is coming from a good place, but that could be chicken, it could be turkey, it could be eggs, it could be, a really high quality bacon, a really high quality breakfast sausage. I do believe that the animal protein for breakfast, it's full of minerals, it's full of nutrients, and so it is a great way to start your day. Okay, and I'll probably get some kickback from the vegans as always, but yeah, so I mean, I don't love protein powders. There's not really many of them that I would recommend. I always recommend just going to the source and eating the animal product. But I would say probably hemp seed protein is probably my top favorite, or cricket protein is actually a really good source. Yes, that comes from an animal, but crickets are an incredibly sustainable source of protein. They're very high protein, and they're very, very sustainable because they can be grown in warehouses. Okay, so cricket protein, hemp seed protein would be, hemp protein would be my two top favorites, but honestly, just eat the meat. That would be my thing. If you eat meat, just eat the meat. Okay. Okay, so number one was glycine, about 3 milligrams of glycine, either by consuming enough collagen to get that amount of glycine, or by taking an actual glycine supplement. Okay. Number two, and this was actually really huge for me, is reducing EMFs. Now, for those of you who are members of my High on Energy group, you guys have heard me talk about this. We did a whole masterclass on EMFs just the other week. But reducing EMFs is very, very important. Now, EMF stands for electromagnetic frequencies. It's basically what's coming from Wi-Fi, from Bluetooth, from your cell phone towers, from radio towers. And basically these days, we all kind of marinate in an EMF soup. And the safety standards that all the cell phone companies and Wi-Fi companies are going by were developed in 1996, which is really laughable to me because, well, there wasn't Wi-Fi in 1996, and who had a cell phone in 1996? Not many people, just the ones with that big Zach Morris, you know, portable phone that, like, you know, gave you an arm workout because it was so friggin' heavy, right? And so with EMFs, I mean, because our body runs on electricity, they do interfere. There's been, you know, the studies kind of, you can find them on both sides. You know, if you look at the industry funded research, so the research that was funded by people, corporations or companies that provide a EMF type service, you'll find that they tend to find it more on the side of it being safe. But when you look at the independent research, it's kind of skewed in the other direction. So it kind of depends on who is actually funding the research. But I think it's a big deal. And, you know, I think a lot of us are empathic. We're very sensitive to people's energy, and we're very sensitive to EMFs as well. And definitely, if you are having chronic sleep issues, if you are having chronic insomnia, then I do think this is something you absolutely need to address. Now, it's easy to get overwhelmed because depending on where you live, it might be completely impossible for you to actually get to zero EMFs, and that's not the point. The point is about reducing, okay? Now, there's an app on my phone. It's called, I believe it's called ElectroSmart. Let me just quickly look, guys. Yeah, so it's called ElectroSmart. Now, you can't get that on iPhone. There might be something equivalent, but this is the one I use on my Google phone. Basically gives you a rating of your EMF exposure. It gives you like a number out of 50. And what you want to do is try to get that number as low as possible at night. And for every point you bring it down, it actually cuts your exposure in half, which is a pretty big deal. So typically in my house during the day, I'm at about a 33, but I can get it to about a 24 at night. How do I do that? I turn off my Wi-Fi router and I actually flip my breaker. I basically turn off the power to all of my house except for my kitchen because I don't want my freezer to turn off, obviously. But we basically flip the breaker and turn off all the power. We put our phones into airplane mode. We make sure all the Bluetooth is off. We pull out all the plugs in our bedrooms because if you have, say, a cell phone charger that is plugged in, there's going to be electricity coming out that charger. So make sure to unplug everything. If you're going to use your phone as an alarm, make sure it's in airplane mode. And yeah, turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off all your Bluetooth, turn off your tablet, turn off everything that could be emitting a signal. And you won't be able to fully reduce it or fully get rid of it, but you will be able to reduce it. And this is actually a big thing. Okay. And so this can actually be very helpful for sleep. And as soon as I reduce my EMFs, I slept like a baby. And I actually do notice the difference significantly. Like if we forget to turn it off, or for example, when I was in San Diego, my sleeps just weren't quite as good. I didn't feel quite as rested when I woke up. I kind of had that semi feeling like I've been hit by a bus, but now that I'm home, I feel great again. Okay. Obviously in the city, you're getting exposed to not only, you know, you're getting exposed to your neighbor's Wi-Fi. If you live near a road, you're getting exposed to everyone in their car with GPS and their cell phones on driving by, but there is some things we can do to reduce. And if, you know, you really struggle with chronic insomnia, if you have chronic illness, you're getting exposed to a lot of EMFs, you can get nettings to go around your bed that will completely create an EMF-free space. Now, those aren't cheap. It's definitely not the place to start. The place to start is always with reduction, okay? I think that's a huge thing. So, you know, if you take anything from this episode tonight, turn off your Wi-Fi router. And to make it really simple, you can actually put your Wi-Fi router on a timer so it automatically shuts off at a certain time each night, because most of us do not need Wi-Fi throughout the night. You know, maybe we're sleeping from 10 to 6. So that is a great time to have your Wi-Fi router off. And if you want to take the extra step, just flip your breaker. Go down, flip everything off that you don't need, with the exception of your kitchen. Don't turn off your fridge. That can make a pretty big deal. I think that can make a really huge benefit on your sleep. Okay, so that's number 2, is reducing EMFs in your bedroom, okay, when you sleep. Number 3 is something called heart math, okay? I've been loving this lately. This is something that I found such a game changer, but especially because I believe the insomnia episode I went through was due to stress. I was having so much going on, not only in my personal life, but in my business. It was a gong show. I basically brought an assistant into my business who just walked in, dropped a bomb, and I'm literally still picking up the pieces. So it was incredibly stressful, obviously, and I was losing sleep, feeling like my clients, like my members, weren't being supported properly, and that balls are getting dropped, because, you know, it's really important to me that anyone who's paying me to help them gets the best service, the best support they can possibly get. So the thought of that not happening, it really weighed on my heart. Okay. And so basically, it's an app. Okay. You have to buy this little gadget and you get the app on your phone. It's not super cheap, but you can buy the book. There's a heart math book that you can get on Amazon for like $10 to $15. Okay. So that's a good place to start if you don't want to invest in, you know, about $150. Okay. But basically, it tracks your heart rate variability. Now, heart rate variability is what happens in between your heartbeats. Okay. So we have the heartbeat, and then we have this little kind of like rippling effect that happens in between each beat. Okay. Now, when we're frustrated, when we're stressed, when we're angry, when we're, you know, freaking out, our heart rate variability is very sharp and it's very erratic. Okay. But when we are calm, when we are in a place of gratitude, when we feel peace, it's very smooth, and it has this really wide variability, but it's smooth. It's like these really smooth, like dips and valleys. And that's basically a good place to be. Now, this app, you attach it to your ear and it tracks your heart rate variability. Basically there's a little visual. It kind of helps you like control your breathing. And it's more than just meditation, because as you're breathing, you're actually really picturing yourself being grateful. You're pitching, you know, yourself being calm. So a lot of times I will do a body scan. I'll go from toes to head and basically think about every single body part and why I'm so grateful for it. I'll think about things that make me feel amazing. I'll think of things I'm proud of. And you basically get this biofeedback. It'll give you a beep and it'll let you know when you go into what they call coherence. So that really smooth, beautiful heart rate variability versus that sharp. And so for me, doing this every night before bed is a huge game changer. It takes me out of my crazy day. It helps me let go of things that are stressing me out. It helps me stop overthinking things that are going on in my business, in my personal life, and it just helps me let go. And I'll usually do 5 to 10 minutes before bed. And I brought that in, and it's like, I go into such a deep sleep now. And I find it, it's completely changed my response to stress. It's improved my focus. It's improved my energy. I love it. I am not an affiliate for this company. I just love them. I love this product, and I think it's a game changer, and I think everyone should learn how to do it. So definitely go to Amazon, buy the Heart Math book. And if, you know, see how it goes, see if it resonates with you, give it a try. But the app is really helpful because, you know, it's subtle. It's sometimes hard to tell when you're in that state of coherence versus when you're out of it. But what I notice is I put it on while I'm working, I'm just in the red zone. It's like, bah, bah, bah. But when I'm, you know, when I'm really focused, when I'm lying down and I'm comfortable, I can really get into that coherent state. So that has been a huge game changer for me, and I highly recommend it. Okay. So number 3 is Heart Math, which is basically, improving your heart rate variability. So it's heart math. So math is in like the number things. I'll just write that in the chat box. And what I'll maybe do is I will, oh, what's going on here? I'm like a little bit frozen right now for some reason. Yeah, so I can't rate that into the heart, the chat box right now. I'm having like some glitch right now. I cannot get my window down. I'm totally frozen on that respect. It's heart math. So just turn that map into math and you got it, Noelle. Okay, so the bonus thing that I find it really incredibly helpful. Now, I probably wouldn't do this for the super long term, but this is a great short-term strategy. Liposomal melatonin. So melatonin is our sleep hormone. And people definitely get varying results with melatonin because I don't think it's super well absorbed. And so sometimes melatonin can make people even feel, you know, less tired, a bit less anxious, which is really not a good thing. But with the liposomal form, it's actually way more absorbable, and it actually gets, most of it actually gets into your brain, okay? And that's where we want melatonin to go. So Da Vinci Labs carries the liposomal melatonin. I'll do 1 or 2 pumps before bed. And honestly, it is so helpful. And those are all the things that I employed when I was having my really significant insomnia through the month of January and February. And I literally, it like changed in a second. It changed overnight. And that's a big deal for me because I'm not a good sleeper. I'm very sensitive and it's very easy for me to go into these periods of insomnia, but I feel very confident in the way I sleep. Like, sure, I still do have the odd bad sleep. You know, nothing's perfect. Sometimes I just can't get something off my mind, or, you know, there's just something else going on that I don't know about. But honestly, for 90% of the time, I'm sleeping like a boss. Okay. And so I find those 3 things incredibly helpful, plus that one bonus thing. So let's just do a quick review. And then I got to go to Maverick Fitness because I haven't been in a week and I got to go crush it and get my body back in shape after like a full week of being in the city and sitting at a conference and on planes. And so number 1, what was number 1? Oh yeah, glycine. Number 1 is glycine. Glycine is a calming neurotransmitter, and most of us don't have enough of it because we eat a lot of muscle meat, which is really high in methionine and low in glycine. We can get that from collagen, or we can get that from a supplement like the one from Thorne Research. It helps calm us, and it also drops our body temperature, which does help us get into that deep sleep cycle, which is what we want. Okay. Number 2 is reducing EMFs. Those are those electromagnetic frequencies that mess with our brain, that keep us out of sleep, that overstimulate us, that throw off our body electricity. That's your Wi-Fi, that's your Bluetooth, that's your cell phone, radio towers, even the electricity in your house. So at least, the very least, turn off your Wi-Fi router at night. And if you are able to do it, if you have access to your router, just flip, or your breaker, flip the breaker, turn everything off except for your kitchen, and make sure your phone is in airplane mode. Make sure all your plugs are unplugged in your bedroom, and make sure anything that might be attracting Wi-Fi. If you have a tablet, turn it off. If you have some Bluetooth speaker, turn it off. Just make sure everything is off, okay? And then number 3 is heart math. This is tracking your heart rate variability, getting that really smooth, beautiful, high peak, high valley, sort of wave that we want with our heart rate variability. It puts us into a calmer state. It focuses us, and it does, I believe, help us get into a bigger sleep. I love it. I'm someone who hates meditation. I've never been able to stick with any meditation practice. I have done this pretty much every single day for the past 6 weeks, which is a pretty big deal for me. So I highly support it. You can do the book off Amazon, or you can get the Inner Balance app. I'll put the link in here. Full transparency, I am an affiliate for this company, but just because I absolutely love their product, I want to promote it. I think it can change lives. Okay, I'm only ever an affiliate for companies that I fully 100% stand behind, okay? And then the bonus one is liposomal melatonin from, the one I use is from Da Vinci Labs. There's other ones out there. I'm not an affiliate for Da Vinci, but that's just the product I've used and had success with. And you can do 1 or 2 pumps. It just helps get that melatonin into the brain, helps you sleep properly. I think it's fantastic. Okay, guys, so thank you so much for joining me today. If you guys want to work with me, if you are a female or you're a female identified individual and you want my help, you want to boost your energy, you want to get out of burnout, you want to reverse your chronic health conditions and you want my help to do so, please do check out my High on Energy membership. We have a few people on right now who are members of the group, and it is a pretty amazing community of women. Plus you get access to all the lab testing as an upgrade, like hair mineral analysis, like Dutch testing, like GI map, metals testing. And for every time you order a lab, me and my main practitioner, Jody, will put together a awesome protocol for you to help you get well. And we do multiple coaching calls a month to keep you supported. So a really, really, I guess, economical way to access functional medicine without breaking the bank. Because honestly, if you work with a practitioner like me, you're going to be paying several $1,000s. And I created this membership to make this type of work accessible to everyone because I really believe people need it. So guys, I'll put the link in the show notes for the podcast. I will put it in the description for Facebook Live, and for the YouTube people, because this video will eventually go out on YouTube, and for my YouTube people, I'll make sure that is available for you there. But it is just go.kendraperry.net/energy if you guys are interested. So thank you so much. Remember, every Tuesday, 4 p.m., Facebook Live, you can hang out with me live. You can ask me questions. You can interact with me. Or if you don't like watching videos, but you love listening to podcasts, make sure to subscribe to the High on Energy podcast. And if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Thanks, guys. I will talk to you in a week.